promised you before, I'm back for speaking about Beth Shan. What is Beth Shan? Beth Shan is a ultra-secret history of Jehovah's Witness, and in fact, this is a bunker. This was a route for a bunker for Joseph Franklin Rutherford, and it was Rutherford's house of security and the Watchtower's house of security. So let us go on. Most people who have studied Watchtower Society, Jehovah's Witness history, have heard of Beth Sarim, a Spanish-style mansion the society built in 1929 in San Diego, California, that was deeded to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and other Old Testament princes. Most, however, have never heard of the society's Beth Shan house built in 1939, 10 years after Beth Sarim, on adjacent property. Beth Shan, which means house of security in Hebrew, was literally a house of security. It was accessed by a single dirt road that was guarded and gated. It also had two secret bomb shelters to protect the Beth Sarim's residents, such as the society's second president, J.F. Rutherford. The society apparently wanted to keep the residents secret and cover up its very existence. The society only mentioned Beth Shan once in its literature. Almost nothing has been known as a result about Beth Shan until recent research by Edmund Grass and Leonard Chrétien uncovered a few of its well-kept secrets. The story of Beth Shan further reveals the mentality, methods, and false expectation of JV leaders during the World War II. Beth Sarim, 1929, the Watchtower Society built a Spanish style mansion in San Diego, California, called Beth Sarim, or House of Princes. In Hebrew, Judge Rutherford, the society second president, lived there during the winter months until his death on January 8, 1942. Rutherford and the society held the house and property in trust for Old Testament princes awaiting their return. The property and residence were deeded to these Old Testament individuals. None of the individuals named in the deed as rightful owners of the place, such Abraham, showed up the Beth Sarim to claim it, though the society in print said numerous times that they could be expected to return any day now. The society sold the property and residence in 1947. One individual at least claimed to be David of the Old Testament and thus a rightful owner of Beth Sarim. However, Rutherford didn't believe this unshaven Trump, as he called him, was the real McCoy. Rutherford requested to be buried at Beth Sarim, but this was denied after his death. The society began building a burial crypt for Rutherford just below Beth Sarim shortly before his death. After this site was denied by local authorities, the society proposed a second site which was located on the Beth Shan property, which was adjacent to Beth Sarim. This second burial spot was also denied. To this day, some have claimed that Rutherford was buried secretly at Beth Sarim or Beth Shan anyway, even though the society has started in print that Rutherford's remains were sent to Brooklyn for burial. Needless to say, this strange Beth Sarim story has become a source of ridicule and amusement to Watchtower critics and an embarrassment at times to Jehovah's Witnesses. The Watchtower printed numerous articles and statements about Beth Sarim which opposers have used against the society. In their recent history book, Jehovah's Witness proclaimed God's kingdom, the society felt a need to mention the Beth Sarim episode, though in a sanitized and somewhat misleading manner. The society has been silent, though, about the larger and the least equally important house and property adjacent to Beth Sarim, Beth Shan. Even research and critics of the society have been unaware of Beth Shan and its importance until the past years. Edmund C. Gruss, with research help from Leonard Chrétien, have uncovered some of Beth Shan's secrets. This has been put into Gruss' new book, Jehovah's Witnesses, the Monument of False Prophecy. Beth Shan House of Security. Beth Shan had a larger house than Beth Sarim, built on part of the 100-acre estate that the society owned in San Diego. It was built in 1939, 10 years after Beth Sarim. The Beth Shan residence was a secret place the society only mentioned once in its literature. It was sold in 1945. Only 6 years or so after its construction. Why was it built? Beth Shan, the deed of Beth Shan house and property were, like Beth Sarim, made out to Abraham, David, and other Old Testament princes. In reading the deed to Beth Shan, one could get the impression that it is simply Beth Sarim. Part 2. The two deeds are very similar. Both the residence and property were held in trust by the Watchtower Society leaders for the Old Testament princes awaiting their return. The deed of Beth Shan stated in part, to have and to hold for the following purposes, to wit, whereas the grantor herein, V.P. held G. heir, was entrusted with the duty and obligation of improving the premises herein before described, and the number of persons furnished the money for the purpose of improving said premises, and whereas the said V.P. hit G. heir has erected the house and other improvement, and whereas the grantor and the other parties interested and who have contributed toward the improvement of said premises thoroughly believe and expect the return of faithful men to earth who are hereafter named, and who, according to the scripture, Psalm 45:16 and Isaiah 32:1, shall be made the visible rulers on earth, and desire to prepare said property for them. Now therefore this trust is created, and said trustee shall hold title to said property in trust for the use and benefit of the following named persons, whose names appear in the Bible at the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verses 1 to 40, to wit, Abel, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Joseph, Moses, Rahab, Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, and Samuel. Until such time as the aforementioned persons return and identify themselves to the legal representatives of the said Watchtower Bible Tract Society, and the consent of said society take possession and control of said premises, the president of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society shall have the right and be duty-bound to direct the management of and use of said premises hereby conveyed, and to determine who shall be in possession and have the active management thereof. The society only known comment on Beth Shan. As stated above, the society only mentioned Beth Shan once in its literature. This was in the May 27, 1942 Consolation magazine, now called Awake. In its long article on the Kurd battles over Rutherford's burial records they mentioned the location of the second proposed burial site as being on their Bet Shan property. The judge decided to continue the case so that the new site could be brought before the Planning Commission. The second plot was a proper place for burial. The Planning Commission, who deliberated for more than 2 weeks investigating the site, was held before the court and denied the second application for a cemetery. New location for interment was almost in the center of the property known as Bet Shan, which is roughly 75 acres of canyon and mesaland adjoining Bet Sarim, but separated by a half-mile width of canyon. This property also belonged to Watchtower, has one small and one large dwelling on it and a few outhouses, and consists of some fruit tree and other cultivated patches, in aggregate about 7 acres, and about 65 acres of unreclaimed brush, either to steppe or rocky or inaccessible for development. Judge Rutherford, in a discussion before his death, had said that as a second choice he wished to be buried somewhere on these wild acres, in order that all the objections made in regard to the first site near to Kensington High might be removed to this new site. It was requested that only a 10-foot square cemetery be granted. The spot was also inaccessible except by a private road, a half-mile long and closed by a gate. This only known reference to Bet Shan was given in the context of trying to show that the second request site for Rutherford's burial is one man's cemetery near an exclusive residential area was reasonable. They pointed out that it was almost at the center of 75 acres of canyon and mesoland, 65 acres of which were composed of unreclaimed brush, either to steppe or rocky or inaccessible for development. They further pointed out that these wood acres were inaccessible except by a private road of half-mile long with a closed by gate. According to Fred Eason, who was later to push out some of the Bet Shan property and resides discussed below, the third road, which accessible through gate, was also guarded, and Jewish soon authorized individuals couldn't enter. He first stumbled onto the society's building of Bet Shan residence while he was looking for Young's Cave, a series of man-made caves or tunnels in the area. He was rebuked by several men on horseback and watched the building of Bet Shan from a different side of the Mesa Canyon. This admitted, in fact, raised the question of why the society deemed it necessary or appropriate to purchase this nearly inaccessible property, build a dwelling on it, and try to keep it all secret, except for the above mysteries or brief mention. Even guarding and gating its sole dirt road access, they apparently even tried to cover up what they were doing when rumors of Bet Shan's existence circulated among Jews in early 1940. Fast reports below. The answer that makes the most sense to us in the Bet Shan property and residence was what is now commonly called a cult compound. Many cultic groups in the United States in recent years who have believed that Armageddon is about to break and will find their little group at the center of the action, or at least the reason for it, build remote or barely accessible and well-guarded and protected buildings in the boondocks, not metropolitan areas such as Los Angeles or New York. The Watchtower Society World Headquarters in Brooklyn, New York, but they believe the Armageddon will involve worldwide war, perhaps nuclear, and those groups who believe only their little group will make it through tend to build fallout bomb shelters to protect the small following, or at least their leaders, who will emerge leaders on the New Earth. Major metropolitan areas will be the first causalities, so to the mountains and desert they flee, sometimes building underground residences, supporting this view of Beth Shan's purpose in the society's statements. Regarding the soon approach of Armageddon and famine, the inaccessibility of Beth Shan, the secrecy and covering up its existence and purpose, and the fact that it had two bomb shelters. Beth Shan bomb shelter. The main building on the Beth Shan. Nice research today, very interesting, my friend. Salut. The main building on the Beth Shan property, referred to as a large residence in May 2742 Constellation, had a sacred bomb shelter as a basement. Its only access was through a sacred trapdoor and starway. It was 10 feet by 20 feet with lots of storage shelves. The Goat Barn bomb shelter. Another building, a Goat Barn, has a secret bomb shelter as well. It was a long building apparently used to house goats. At the rear of the building was a bathroom. Fried Eisen bought 30 acres of the Beth Shan property, including the Goat Barn, in a letter to Ed Gruss he wrote of his bomb shelter. To enter the shelter, one would to go small bedroom area at the rear of the building, open the medicine cabinet and pull a concealed lever inside. A section of wall would spring open, revealing a stairway down into what can only be identified as a bomb shelter, a room about 30 feet to 50 feet. With a 10-foot high ceiling, the walls were lined with storage shelves. The cement ceiling of the room was 3 feet thick. Gruss noted in this monument book. A person could go into bedroom and would never know that the shelter was there. When a house was built on the property in 1967, it was placed on the lot so as to keep the shelter intact, and it still exists today. The Goat Barn shelters was rediscovered in 1960. 1960, when the land was bulldozed during further development of the area. See this in the Beth Shan area being developed in 1960, revealing the sheet's roof. This bomb shelter at the 007 manner, the James Bond manner, in which they were accessed, revealed the paranoid-like secrecy with which the society approached the Beth Shan's residence. Armageddon paranoia. Apparently, the reason for the society purchasing the Beth Shan property and incorporating bomb shelter in its buildings was their new light from Jehovah God concerning the soon approach of Armageddon and what that would entail. In 1938, Rutherford began to give speeches and write Watchtower's article stating that Armageddon was so close that getting married and having children were inadvisable. One Golden Age article stated that even having sex was out of the question as it was a satanically forced activity anyway. You go home and you have your wife say, oh no, we can't do that because it's satanic. Also from 1938 on, Rutherford stated that the fascist Roman Catholic hierarchy-led totalitarian combine was then in existence and would soon control England and America as well as the other major world powers. When the totalitarian Catholic combine gains control of the British Isles, which is the certain to do, then all the liberties of the people will be at an end. What will be the condition when all nations become totalitarian? The totalitarian combine is going to get control of England and America. You cannot prevent it. Do not try. 1941, starting with his comfort all that moan speech, Rutherford proclaimed that Jehovah God was revealing to him through angels inaudibly transmitting thought into his mind. the correct interpretation of Daniel chapter 11, the two kings there described were currently on earth fulfilling this prophecy. World War II would lead to Armageddon. This was further elaborated in the Demon Rule Ending series of articles which appeared in the September 15 to December 15, 1941 Watchtower. Some of the last material the judge authored. Jehovah revealed to his people that the time of the end began in 1914. Now the Lord reveals to his people the meaning of Daniel's prophecy. The Lord has revealed to his people the identity of the two kings that are now contending for world domination. As to final result, Jehovah has made that plainly to appear, and the Watchtower understands. The battle of the great day of God Almighty will bring the demon's rule to its final end. Thus, and forever of Nazi fascist hierarchy rule will come, and that will mark the end forever of demon rule. It is in the days of these dictatorial powers that the God of heaven will bring into action his kingdom, the theocracy. The next war, famine, and poison gas. As I have documented earlier, the Watchtower Society in the 1920s and 1930s believed that the next war would lead to Armageddon and result in the theocracy or kingdom of God on earth. They believed it would be a war fought primarily or exclusively in the air with poison gas and bacterial germs, bombs which would obliterate most life on earth. For example, they say the next war will be a completion of the First World War and therewith an annihilation. There will be a poison and explosion anywhere, everywhere beneath the whole canopy of the heavens. Poison will be mechanically wafted forward and backwards by unmanned airplanes, going up into the atmosphere and descending to the earth. The compact, thickly populated, highly industrialized center of civilization will be drenched with gases, bathed in a liquid fire and sown with bacteria. Unquenchable conflagrations will overspread the sky with a blanket of smoke. Perhaps some previous preparation will have been made of elaborate subterranean tunnels and chambers in anticipation of this awful time. Apparently, the Watchtower Society did its own preparing for this future calamity in building Beth Shan House of Security with two bomb shelters. Perhaps Yongske, with its series of underground tunnels on the property, was an appealing feature in their decision to buy the property. The reason for the storage shelves in the bomb shelters is they believe that great famines would soon occur worldwide, including the United States. This was also brought out in the Demon Rule Ending article. A great famine is certain to afflict the many nations of the earth. In very near future, the United States is also in line for much suffering. The United States is faced with world disaster now impending and about to fall. False reports. Apparently rumors spread, as they tend to among Jehovah's Witnesses, about this secret residence, and the Watchtower tried to cover it up in the following announcement in the Watchtower. False reports. Some unreliable persons is responsible for the circulation of a report that Beth Sarim is being enlarged as a place of security and that this is being built by the society. There is absolutely not one word of the truth in the report. Those who are interested in the theocracy would better be circulating the kingdom message rather than false imagination of others. It may be technically true that Beth-Sarim itself was not being enlarged as a place of security, but 100-acre estate on which it was built was, in fact, Beth Shan means house of refuge or house of security. So the above denial is disingenuous, if not a bold-faced lie. It was the society who sent out false imaginations about the imminent return of the princess. It was they who told their followers not only to forego marriage and kids, but even sex, as Armageddon was only months away. Armageddon did not come a few months or even decades later. Beth Shan was sold only 6 years or so after it was built. So they themselves quickly abandoned their expectations. Beth-Sarim was sold a couple years later as well. Abraham and the rest did not show up. If they ever do, the societal leaders won't be there to greet them. They left decades ago. Beth Shan was therefore a monument to false prophecy, and as Ed Gross has called it. Even more serious to me is the fact that if angels were responsible for giving Rutherford this false imagination, the society was under the direction of flying spirits by definition. The society leader, as the spirit who informed them, proved unreliable. So this is very interesting here when say monument of false prophecy. This I will to save that. Okay, I saved that because this is very, very interesting. It was the society's leader, it seems, who were the real and reliable person responsible for putting out a false report in the Watchtower about Beth Shan, their house of security, to cover up their secret activity. The fact is, they were building a house of security on property adjacent to Beth-Sarim. Perhaps they felt it was important to keep their house of security secret so it wouldn't be an easy target come doomsday. In any case, the fact is they denied the truth of the matter to their trusting followers. Jews today are still totally unaware of Beth Shan ever existed. The society has been silent to my knowledge about Beth Shan since 1942. However, the proverbial cat is now out of the bag for all to see the marvel. Therefore, do not be afraid of them. Deuteronomy 18, 20, 22. For nothing is covered up that will not be uncovered, and nothing secret that will not become known. Jesus in Matthew 10, 26. Acknowledgement. This study is based on research on Edmund Gruss, as well-known author of books of Jehovah's Witness and Codes and the Occult. Gruss' recent book, Jehovah's Witness, The Monument to False Prophecy, written based on research helped by Leonard Chrétien, contains a chapter of this subject and includes numerous photos, the deeds to Beth Shan, and more. The photos included here are courtesy Edmund Gruss. Gruss also had 2 articles which will be published in the Christian Research Journal. One on Beth-Sarim will appear in the summer 1997 issue, and one on Beth Shan will appear in the fall 1997 issue. Many Christian bookstores carry the Christian Research Journal. So I am happy to relay that, and thank you for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.